All right, YouTube, Repo Man 64. All right, out here in the secret broadcast cave, the pump house. I got an email. It was really cool. It was a lady that said, I know you say that you've never accepted a dime for what you're doing, but think about the people that are blessed by giving, that there are people who have money to give. And yes, I've thought about that. That she, in short term, basically said, I'm taking away the ability for somebody to be blessed by donating money. I've never accepted a dime from anyone because I've never wanted it to, and I have to be careful with how I word this, never wanted it to turn into something he's only doing it for the money. These people that I'm about to show you are not doing it for the money. They are as looking forward to the rapture as I am. If it's on your heart to donate money because you have the ability to, I have a few good sites that I'd like to show you where you can do that, and I'll tell you why they're good. If there's anyone that I know who can judge someone based on taking money by saying, oh, they're only in it for the money, first of all, that's a judgment that nobody has the right to do. Second of all, if you've ever taken a dime from anyone, one dime, if you've ever accepted money, you have no right to say anything about anyone. One dime. So if anyone has a right to say anything about anyone taking any money, that would be me. With that in mind, I want to show you a few good people that if you were going to donate, I would donate to them. Got a little raspy throat. Up there in the upper left, or my upper left, I think it's your upper right, is Bob Barber. Bob Barber's a great guy. He has a program where he feeds people and children in foreign countries. And he says that once they have the needs of the physical, then they begin to show them the needs of the spiritual. And it's an amazing plan. He's an amazing guy. If you had a need, if you had an excess in an amount of money and wanted a blessing, I would send it to Bob Barber. He's a great guy. Got a minute. This is all he does. I love his channel. This is all he does. He, hey atheist, what do you think of this? He does some amazing work, and this is his only source of income is doing these videos, and he devotes all of his time to doing this. And some of the stuff he has found has been mind blowing. I am a member of his Discord, and I haven't had a lot of time to get in there and talk in his Discord, but it's a really wonderful Discord that he has. I would go subscribe to his Discord, and if you find something, Aaron is a great guy, and he will say, "Look at what this person just found. It's amazing, and we're going to do the numbers from this to this." And he does a lot of kind of what I do. I do timelines. I go through the Bible. I pour through the Bible, and I find all the dates in the Bible, and I simply put them on the timeline, and I start the year on March 17th. But he does. He knows Hebrew, so he goes through and he makes correlations between that. Amazing guy. Watchwoman 65. Who doesn't know her? She's awesome. She's fantastic. She comes on, devotes a lot of her time. Uh, if I recall, her son's name is Zach, and she's always having to go off and pick him up at school and stuff. These are all just normal people like me and you. They're no different than us. They all have lives, and they're all devoting a lot of time to trying to figure out when this rapture is. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to show you something after I get through with this that is going to blow your mind. Global Rapture Watchers, I've been watching his channel uh, quite a bit lately. He's really cool. He's bringing all the world events together, kind of like Lisa Boyce does. As a matter of fact, him and Lisa Boyce talk, and that's fantastic. And he doesn't want you to send him a bunch of money. He just wants you to buy him a cup of coffee. It's it's awesome. And so if you were so inclined and you wanted to receive a blessing, go buy him a cup of coffee. That's fantastic. You saw his channel, Global Rapture Watchers. This is my friend Tony Early. We talk every day. We have a small group chat that we're in, and we talk every day. Tony broke his hand. Is out of work. And I believe on his channel, I'm not sure, but I believe on his channel there's a place to go. If you feel so inclined and you have extra and you want that blessing, go help Tony out. He's out of work. He's broke his hand. And he's got bills like the rest of us, you know? So, all right, I'll show you this crazy guy here in a minute. But so when I get an email like that and it says, you know, you're withholding blessings from people, there is your outlet if you want to donate. I don't accept donations just because I have the ability now to say, if you've ever accepted a dime, you can't talk about somebody else who has accepted money. And these people do fantastic work. They use the money to search out for when the rapture is going to occur. Okay, that's all said and done. Thank you for letting me get that out. So no, you can't donate money to me. There's no way to do it. But if you are so inclined, please find these people. And there's so many more, not just these. I have, like I said, well over 200 subscribed to well over 200 YouTubes, and so many of them are just dreaming about this day. I don't care if they're making $1 million, $10 million a year. If they're searching and looking for this day, then that's awesome. You know, this guy right here, he's a lot like I am. I really resonate with this guy. End Times Watchman, Patrick over there. He's in my Discord, and you can go in there and find some of the math that he's doing. And again, if we're talking timelines, I'll probably talk right over your head because that's what I work on. Look at this. He talks over my head with some of this math, but he's looking at March 16th. And quite frankly, so am I, but for different reasons. And that's awesome. All right. Now, let me let's see, put my buddy on in the background. Turn the volume down. All right. Now, think about this. You have to think of all angles, right? You can't just go at everything full steam and say, I'm right and everybody else is wrong, right? You can't do that. You've got to check out everybody's piece of the puzzle because everybody has a gift and everybody has something to add to that piece of the puzzle, right? So, what happened for nearly 2,000 years before Jesus showed up? God gave them every clue that this event was going to happen. Jesus was going to come, and you, in fact, will be the ones that kill him. And every single year, I want you to take a Passover lamb. I want you to take it 4 days early and hold on to it, make sure it has no blemish. Then I want you to sacrifice that lamb. And then I want you to do the wave sheaf offering, do all these things. And he maps out these 7 feasts that they are to perform every single year. And then what happened? What happened? Jesus Christ came and they missed it. They completely missed it. As a matter of fact, almost everyone missed it. The wise men didn't miss it. They showed up looking for him. They knew what happened, but so few were privy to the fact that Jesus had actually came. If they had been paying attention, to what God was showing them for such a long time, all the way from Exodus. Remember in Exodus 12, the very first law he set down was this now is ahead of your year. This is the very first one. That was the very first one. After that, I think it's 613. Is it 613 laws that he came out with? Just showing there is no way you can do this. I have a discussion with a guy at work. He is works based and he believes you have to act a certain way and do a certain thing. I say, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to act any kind of way. You just are. When you're saved, you just are. To pick out somebody's defect or flaw or point out their sin, the Bible is super clear on, if you have a sliver, if you're pointing out a sliver in your brother's eye, check out the 2x4 in your own eye. So there's no condemnation, and we don't have a right to look at anyone else. So what happens? Go through 613 laws. They can't keep them. Jesus Christ shows up. They completely miss it, so much so that they crucified him. And when did they do it? They did it on the exact day that they hold Passover. And they are completely not even understanding what they had done. They completely missed it. Even today, 2,000 years later, Jesus, no, he was just a guy. Yeah, we might have messed up in crucifying him, but he was claiming to be God. But yeah, I can't put that together with the Passover. I just, it just, no, it's not the same thing. Seriously. Now, where are we at right now? Here we are right now coming out with all of these dates. And while most of us will continue to look onto the next date and continue to do math and continue to look at the timeline and the calendars and is it the moon? Is it the sun? Is it the stars? Is it the earth? What is it that we're supposed to be looking at? And what are we doing? What are we doing for the past 2,000 years? Because there is records of them looking for the rapture nearly 2,000 years ago. As a matter of fact, they were sitting there looking up right off the bat. First thing, what are you guys looking up at? Oh, we're waiting for Jesus to come back. No, don't worry about it. That's for a later time. That's not for right now. But what has happened over the past 2,000 years? This is it. I know this is it. It's 1,000 years after the Jesus was crucified. This is it. We're going now, and people will sell their houses and they'll do all kinds of stuff, right? But do you see what's happening? We're doing exactly the same thing as they did. The only difference is we're ready. We're paying attention. We might be missing the date. We might be continuing to look on to the next one. We might be trying to figure this out. But all of the things that need to happen have happened. And all of the things that are like we say, well, we have to see Israel under siege. Guess what happened on October the 7th? You see what I'm saying? At the end of the day, Amos 3:7 is not going to be fulfilled by me, not by anybody else, not by anybody that says, I give you 100% guarantee that it's going to happen on. No, it's going to happen on this date because of this. Well, let me jump to the next date and just tie it back to that. No, that's not how it works. We're going to continue to give you high watch days. We're going to continue to do math, trying to figure it out, and we're all going to give you our best conclusion as to when we think it is. None of us are going to say, you're using the first sliver of the moon. What's wrong with you? You're obviously always going to be wrong. I might think that. No, I don't think that. Yeah, maybe I think that. But, you're not supposed to use the sliver, in my opinion. But that's just my opinion, right? I get it when I hear some of these other people's math. I'm like, my mind's like all over the place. Like, how did he do that? I never even thought to do that. Maybe he's right. Maybe you're supposed, and you go back and forth, right? It's the same thing with my calendar. People are like, it has to be the sliver. They've been looking at the sliver for 2,400 years. I can tell you why they have been. That was King Antiochus that forced the sliver of the moon calendar on the Jews in 2400 BC. But again, It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. None of this matters in that we are looking and we are, could this be it? We're all excited, right? Could this be it? Could this be the day? And then it passes and a little bit down, but then we're like, okay, let me get back into the word. And what's happening is we're studying and studying and studying. I'll tell you how much I've learned over the last 5 years while working on this timeline is staggering. It's mind blowing. All of you as well, and all the math you've done and everything you've searched out. You're amazing for what you're doing. But what's going to happen different this time than what happened to the Jews? We're ready. We're ready. They were told to watch for Jesus. They only saw the Passover and they missed it. We're told to watch for Jesus and we're doing all this math. We aren't going to miss it because we have a promise in Amos 3:7, which I would imagine also applied to when Jesus came. I will do nothing except I'll warn the prophets and saints first. If they had just said, all right, these three kings just showed up and said that Jesus was born, King Herod believed it. King Herod believed it. Nobody else did. The Pharisees didn't believe it. Nobody. King Herod believed it, and he kills 144,000 boys under 2 years and under in, was it Bethany and the surrounding areas, which he killed all those kids because he believed it. I think he's closer to heaven than all the Jews who just completely missed it and didn't even see it happen. So here we are. Yeah, dates have come, dates have gone, more dates have come, more dates have gone, but time is running out. Time's running out, and at the end, what happens? Amos 3:7 is fulfilled right in front of our faces. Right in front of our faces. Israel's attacked on October the 7th. Right there, bam. I mean, you can't mess that up. What's going to happen next? Damascus, great earthquakes that we've never seen before, huge earthquakes, you know? So while I don't think we're going to be here to see the April 8th eclipse, I believe that that eclipse is warning the sleepy church, hey, it's time to wake up, and here's your starting point. I think we're going to be gone by then. I really think it's possible that we will go on Purim on February the 29th, or we will go on, what did I say? I think, yeah, February the 7th, which was the 11th month and 24th day when they saw the red horse out amongst the myrtle trees, or February the 11th, which Symphony found last year as being the day the stars lined up for the sign of the Son of Man. It is also a midpoint, an 11:11, which Watchman Adam, sorry about that, which Patrick under End Time Watchman, watch his channel too, by the way, Watchman Adam. But Watchman Patrick there from End Times Watchman, he does this math that we might have all been seeing 11:11. And again, it's not just I looked at my watch and it's 11:11. You can't you can't narrow it down to one small event like that. We're seeing it on receipts. You can't make that happen. We're seeing it on signs. We're seeing it in license plates. We're seeing it everywhere. It's God is trying to tell us something. And I think that Patrick from End Time Watchman is onto something when he says we need to find a date that matches forward and backward from an event to an event. It's right in the center. So that happens again on February the 11th, which is exactly halfway between the Festival of Trees on, what is that, January the 28th? No, January the 30th to Purim, which is February the 29th. That is an 11:11 event. Also, March 16th is huge. It's huge because this is when we see in Exodus 12 the first law handed down in the book of Exodus, where God says, this now is ahead of your year. And we come back and we see that it is an 11:11 event between, if you go forward 182 days, you'll land on Feast of Trumpets. If you go back 182 days, you'll land on Feast of Trumpets. Rosh Hashanah is no longer in September. It was moved. This other guy, what was his name? David Cole. I wonder if I could find him. Sorry, Tony. You're out. Let me find David Cole. I wonder if I could. I wonder how long ago I looked at his. There he is. Dave Cole. Dave Cole. Right there. Dave Cole gets on here, right? I'm listening to him, and he says something, and then he doesn't quantify it for me. Dave, you need to. I don't know if he watches my channel or not, but Dave, you said something, and I want to know why you said it. You said that the rapture will occur on Rosh Hashanah. It's obvious, and it can't occur at any other point except for on Rosh Hashanah because God said so. And then you didn't quantify it. You didn't explain why you said that. And I was like, so I'm waiting for another video from Dave to hear why he said it has to be on Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah was moved. It is no longer the head of the year in September because God said so. It happens, and he said it in Exodus 12. It happens on March the 17th. March the 16th would be that center 11:11 period of time. And then he says that the midnight cry was a mistranslation. And you can go listen to his Dave Cole. Dave Cole, Kull. You can go listen to his, I think it was 2 videos ago, where he says that it's a mistranslation. It's not the midnight cry, it's the twilight cry, that it happens at the moment. For example, on March the 16th, at nightfall, is the twilight. It's the midnight cry. It's the middle of the night. It's that begins the next day. It begins March 17th. So that is a very high watch day. But he does some amazing studies. He does some real in-depth studies. He's very familiar with Greek and Hebrew, and he goes in and studies words out. I love people and watching people and listening to people and promoting people like God a minute Aaron over there who can get into the original language and study it out. And then something we've all learned, the midnight cry, find out that there's actually a better translation for it. And not only do they say it, but they prove it. Anybody can get on chat room and make a statement. That's for a sliver. Prove it. Where in the Bible does it say anything about slivers? It doesn't. It doesn't say anything about that. So when you go in and you see, well, David was hiding out for 3 days until the new moon. It's not what it says. It says Chodesh. That's month. It's not moon. So that would be what I would argue because I've studied it and I know that it has nothing to do with it. David wasn't out there because of the sliver of the moon. He was out there because it was the new month. And he wasn't out there for 3 days because the moon was hidden for 3 days. He was waiting for that sliver. He wasn't. It's Chodesh. It doesn't say Yarich or Saline. You can't just apply Chodesh to moon. So that's just my stuff, right? But he does an amazing job. I really like his channel. He does a good job. Okay, I thought I had my glasses on my head for a second. Somebody made a comment that I do that. These are $3 Walmart glasses. I can see just. If I had the LASIK surgery, right? I can see just fine. But as soon as they did that, I could no longer read. I needed glasses to read. I mean, I was already needing them a little bit, but after the surgery, I was done. I could not read anymore. So I get my $3 Walmart glasses. All right, let me get into the pictures here for just a sec. I only have a couple. I want to show you again where we are according to my silly timeline, which happens to be right every now and again. And people are like, how does he know that? It's because my timeline's right. Everybody else is wrong. All right. We're coming up here on February the 7th, which is Shabbat 24. That is the 11th month and 24th day. This is where we see the rider on the horse amongst the myrtle trees, the red horse amongst the myrtle trees. There are several that are saying, hey, if that's the truth, then we should be gone before we see that. But you have to be careful. The Bible is very clear that it might be a future event. He's seeing it now, but he's seeing something in the future. So it might not actually be on that day. And if it passes, we shouldn't get mad. We shouldn't start picking on each other. We should get back in and study the word out carefully. Is it talking about this is going to happen on the 11th month and 24th day? Or is it saying on the 11th month and 24th day, he saw something in the future? Now, we come forward here, and I don't have it at the bottom, but up there in the middle, February the 11th. Ecrosymphony found this for me last year, the sign of the Son of Man, and we applied Joshua's long day to that day. Since this, I have applied it back to September the 15th because I noticed that I was one day off all the way up until here, so we fixed it. But she finds this, and just so happens that it is a casse. It is an event. It's an 11:11 event. I call 11:11 event a casse because it's something that's obscure, something you wouldn't typically find. And you wouldn't find this because it's the center of Tu B'Shavat, the Festival of Trees, and Purim. So that is another high watch day, February 10th at nightfall to the 11th. And then, of course, Purim. Purim is a high watch day because it is also a casse. It is also a day that is an 11:11 event. 30 days prior to that would be Festival of Trees, and 30 days after that would be Passover. Passover, the anniversary of Passover, always happens on March 30th. It never changes. It will always happen on March 30th. And when I did this is when I asked Sister Sandy to come back in here and apply these 30, 30, 30. And I realized, wait a second, there are 30 days in between. When God said, what do we do when somebody touches a dead body and God comes back and he adds something? Of course, he adds something to make you think. And he says, well, if they're on a long journey or they touch a dead, nobody asks about a long journey. We asked about a dead body. That's okay. If they're on a long journey or have touched a dead body, they can enjoy the Passover 30 days later. So we have this 30 days set up. So I asked Sister Sandy to go in and apply this. And when we do, we find five 30-day periods. I don't find one prior to this. Nothing happens 30 days prior to that. And nothing happens 30 days after. Um, well, I'll get over there in a second. I can't remember. Is the second Passover? No, it's Ascension Day. Nothing happens 30 days after. So it's cool. So you wind up with this huge story about Elizabeth, Mary showing up to where Elizabeth is, and John leaping in the womb. This is the first recognition of Jesus Christ being here on earth. This proves that a baby is a baby from conception. This proves that, and we all know that, I don't know if you know this or not, but an egg travels down the tube and attaches to the wall on the seventh day. It takes 7 days for this to take place. I did the math from where she lived to where Elizabeth lived, and it would have taken, now she's just newly pregnant, so she wasn't in any kind of a bad way to get there, but mathematically, it would have taken her 7 days to get there. So as she gets there, the egg, Jesus' egg, attaches to the uterine wall, and John leaps in the womb. 30 days later, exactly, Festival of Trees. 30 days later, exactly, Purim. 30 days later, exactly, Passover. 30 days later, exactly, second Passover. And 30 days later, exactly, Shavuot, the day Jesus ascends. You see that 150 days? That is also the 5 months and 150 days after when the flood began, and they said it. They said the flood began on October the 31st. When the Bible says the waters began to recede after 150 days, and in the seventh month, the 17th day, the ark rested, and that means reverse the curse. If you're not doing your math from the moment, I don't care what day you choose. You can choose November the 11th if you want. Count 150 days. If your timeline or your calendar, the whatever timeline or whatever calendar you're using, if it does not land on the Passover that they say, let's say they say it's November the 11th, right? I say October the 31st, so it's 11 days later. I say that Passover's on March 30th, but they say, well, no, it's 11 days later. Would they say, is the question, would they say that Passover was on April the 10th? Would they say that? If they, whatever timeline it is, if they say, well, the flood began on November the 11th. Okay, if you say that, when does the Passover occur? If they don't say April the 10th, they have not abided by that rule in the Bible of 150 days after the flood is when the rain or the water receded and the ark rested on the 153rd day on Mount Ararat. You see what I'm saying? If they don't come to the same conclusion, then you got to throw it away. You have to throw it away. So If you're trying to use a sliver of the moon, it simply will not work. There is no way using the sliver of the moon, counting 29 and a half days in between each occurrence, will you ever land on the cross. For example, this year, they said very clearly, oh, yeah, the flood happened on October the 31st. If you count 150 days, you will land on March 30th. But what are they doing? Oh, no, Passover's on April 23rd. What? Where did you get all those extra days? Where did you get all those 23 days? Because that's 173 days from, you're supposed to go 150. You're counting 173. Where did you get that from? That's what I'm saying. But again, Amos 3:7, when that war broke out on the last day of Tabernacles, who did that? Who allowed that moment to happen? God did. If Damascus were destroyed, or if a huge earthquake or something massive or a comet came or just something to make you stop and go, wait a second, this is biblical. Who does that? That's God. At the end of the day, God's going to tell us, right? He's the one that's going to tell us. He's not going to share his glory with another, but we're going to continue to try to figure it out. Because why? Why did God have them sacrifice that lamb every single year for over I don't know, it was 1,000 years? And then they still missed it. How did that happen? How did that happen? That's what we're doing. We're looking at every pin drop, every single thing we see, single thing we hear, every piece of news, every single one of these wonderful people. Who's drinking something? You drinking anything when you're making a video, Dave? I guess he does. But you see what I'm saying? Every single news thing that Global Rapture Watchers looks for, every single mathematical equation that Aaron looks for, you got Bob Barber up there. They're all just dreaming about being the one that figures it out. It's like a lottery, right? We're just dreaming about being the one that has the the correct answer. And at the end of the day, when we get to heaven, we're going to be like, really? I spent 5 years building that timeline. 5 years of my life building that timeline. God's going to be like, well done. You were wrong, but well done, because what you did, you had 20,000 subscribers, and this one had 100,000, and this one over here had 2,000, and this one over here. And then somebody on the other side of the planet's doing the same exact thing, because I didn't find March 17th. I found it on the internet, and then I started doing math, and I said, wait a second. I had an open mind. I said, wait a second. This is a correct timeline. And I've never seen anybody build a year-long timeline yet, but who knows? I'd like to see theirs. Some of them started on the equinox. 4 days later. Again, you can't. You can't start on the equinox, because then certain events won't line up and land on the proper days, which the Bible is very clear on what days those will happen. So, off the timeline. Sorry about that. As we search all these wonderful, wonderful watchers, money collectors, sinners, their hair's messed up, whatever you want to say about them, what is happening is that when the event finally does take place, you're ready. You're going to know. Because, like I said, we're listening for every pin to drop. We're waiting for that other shoe to drop. We're watching everything. Nothing's escaping us. I'm watching all their channels to see if they found something. They're watching, maybe, I don't know, watching my channel to see if I find something. And that's what this is all about. This isn't about finding the date. This is about preparing everybody, showing everybody how to watch. And you keep watching. And it is not wrong for us to surmise a high watch day. I will never call it 100%. I think that's irresponsible, but that's just me. There are those who will, and that's okay. I will call it a high watch day. This is mathematically, this works out, you know, on the calendar to be this day, 7, 11, 29. It just keeps going, right? March 16th, March 30th. Something's got to break before April the 8th. I'm telling you, April the 8th is the warning to the church, to the sleepy church. It's the warning to the tribulation saints. I don't think we're going to be here to see that. So, and again, you see them lining up the moons forward, but January 11th, we were like, this is it, this is it. It was an 11/11 event. What was he pointing out? Pay attention to the 11/11. Something happens before and after. There's some symmetrics there. Something's gonna, this day might, you count back and you'll see something, and you count forward. So we have to look for the symmetrics and everything. And I think that Patrick does a very good job of that. So sorry, got off on a tangent there. All right. So you know where we're at. You know what we're looking at. Keep watching. Let's see here. This is Aaron's work right here. He was doing this. Do you see all these dots? This was what Aaron found. This is his thing. Look at all those dots. I believe one of them is for, you have to go watch this video uh, about this right here. I think one of them, some of the orange or black. One of them's for Nineveh, and one of them's for Salem, which means Jerusalem. Salem, Jerusalem. And they all fall either on or very close to the Aleph Toph of the eclipse, the three eclipses that are happening over America. X marks the spot, or X never marks the spot. It sure does this time. You know, when they say that, X never marks the spot, yeah, maybe they were trying to hide something. Let's see here. This was some math somebody sent me on February 28th at 6 p.m. from Jerusalem. There is a Sun, Mercury, and Saturn trio with a Mercury. Somebody sent this to me. Again, this might be good for Aaron to work on more so than myself because it's dealing with stellarium, and I know about the story of God in heaven, but I'm not really good with like these things lined up now, and they lined up at the flood, and they lined up when Jesus was on the cross. So it's really kind of cool. So on February 28th at 6 p.m. from Jerusalem, there is a Sun, Mercury, and Saturn trio with a Mercury-Saturn conjunction in Aquarius near the waterfall. Like I said, the sun has to be going through that waterfall for those 1,000 years. And if you choose any other date than March 17th, it won't do that. So go into town, find a man bearing a pitcher of water, and rent the upper room. That's what that was for. That sun will be traveling through the outpouring of the water in Aquarius for those 1,000 years during the millennium. And if you start your year on March the 20th at the equinox, it won't do that. You have to start the year at the equal lux on March the 17th or 16th at nightfall. And then you'll see that the sun, in fact, does travel perfectly through the water during that 1,000 years. And heaven tells a story near the waterfall on the date that looks really interesting. And at the same time, February the 28th, 4 p.m., Israel or Jerusalem, is also a moon spica conjunction. After that date, they start to separate further apart. So I would actually say on February the 28th, Adar 14, I think is Purim on the Adar 14 or Adar 15? I have to go back and look at the calendar. But and Purim moves, by the way, one day because of the leap year here. It only happens once every 4 years. But anyway, but Purim is a 2 day celebration. It's actually a 3 day. It's actually 13, 14, 15. They simply narrowed it down to put, yeah, it was on the 14th. They narrowed it down to the 14th, but it was actually 3 days. One day they were going to slaughter the Jews. The next day, the Jews won the war, and on the third day, the 15th, is the day they celebrated. But they chose Adar 14 right in the center. What is that? It's a Kaseh moment. It is an 11/11 moment. 13, 14, 15, they chose the 14th to celebrate it. So that's also very telling. We're seeing this over and over again. Purim is a 2 day celebration with both Purim and Purim Shushan. So maybe 24 hours later on February 29th at 4 p.m. Oh, I see what they did there. They went ahead to February 29th. Interesting, very interesting. I don't know who sent me that. I'm sorry. I might have wanted to protect your identity. That might have been why I did that. Who did this? Oh, who did this one? I can't remember. I hate that. What did and I remembered who did it. This is simply the same thing that Aaron at God a Minute was showing, but you can look at that. Salem, 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 Salem. All these towns called Salem that go right through this thing. Salem. They're all Salem. All of them. Look at all that. Is that crazy or what? Are we seeing an 11/11 before and after thing there? So Anyway, I thought I'd get on here and do that. That I needed to clear the air on the money situation. I needed to show you that 1111 was paramount, and I needed to show you that watching is very important because it is the same exact thing as them killing the Passover lamb. Jesus said, "Watch, watch," and that's what we're doing. We're watching and we're trying to figure this out. Before Jesus came, he said, "Look at the Passover. Look at the Passover. Pay attention to the Passover." And they didn't. They didn't pay attention to the Passover and they missed it. So much so they crucified him for calling himself God. Jesus Christ is God Almighty. All right. So Repo Man 64, like, comment, share, and subscribe. If you have the, again, like I said before, if you have the means and the desire for a blessing, go donate to one of those people I showed you. Every single one of them will put it to good use and bring you more information on when the rapture might occur. So, and I hope could it be in 2 days? Could it be in 5 days? Could it be, on the February the 29th, March the 16th? I know that time is whittling down. Here's what I do know. In every instance in the Bible where we see a rapture event take place or rapture event where even Lot getting him out of there, that was a rapture event, getting him out from danger. We see a warning that happens first. And so that's what we're looking for. We're looking for some kind of a warning to happen first. So, excuse me. Alrighty. I think I've talked your heads off. So let me know in the comment section. I will put a link to my Discord, or if you want, um, go into Gadamit's Discord. He's got a wonderful Discord as well. I love mine. Ours is mostly about news, Gina News. They put a lot of news in there, and then there's some math that goes on in my room. So just keep watching, and if you guys find anything at all, come into the Discord and let me know. If it goes over my head, somebody else in there might understand better than me. If it's a calendar, I'm always going to steer everybody towards my goofy calendar. I know, but that's where I'm always going to go naturally because I feel like it's right. But I'm not, I would never say if you don't believe in if you follow the moon, sliver of the moon, you're going to hell. I would just, that would be the silliest uh, thing ever to even say because Amos 3:7 will be fulfilled by God. He will tell us, and none of our timelines and calendars are going to mean a thing, and none of our understandings are going to mean a thing. When October the 7th happened, God did that. And at that moment, we knew this is it. We're on the cusp of this. It's right around the corner. So, all right, we'll chat with you again later.